In this video, I'm going to be showing you another digitization project, and in this one, I'm going to focus on like a colorful drawing that has a black outline on the outside of it. So let's go to Project Create from Image, and I'm going to load this little elephant in here that has kind of a black outline all the way around him. And we're going to pick up, for this one, I'm going to use a rug yarn. This eBay rug yarn. Now I've used this before. So let's see. Let's go and pick our grid size next. So we're doing a latch hook rug, and for this yarn, I'm going to do 3.75 because I know it's a real pretty thick yarn, and so when it gets a little too tight at 5 holes per inch. So 3.75 holes per inch work pretty well for this yarn. And I'm going to cut the size down here. And I'm doing these first steps fairly quickly because I've done these in the previous videos. So let's bring our size down so we have more like a rug that's 30 by 20, 30 by 25, and then would need a little border around it, so it'll be a little bigger than that probably in the end. But that'll be about it. Now, the difficult part here, the large sections of color, will come out pretty well. But the difficult part here is, having to redraw this black line around the outside in places where there are gaps and things like that. Now, one of the things that will help here is just like when you were drawing, when we did the line drawing where we just do the line drawing of the airplane, if we change this digitization type from sharp to smooth, now watch the picture up here when I do this, then you're going to get more of that line filled in. So what it's doing is it's kind of smushing out the colors along the edge there so it captures more of that dark edge. But very often it'll end up being some other color. So there'll be some duck egg out here and some cloud blue and some other things. Empire is what this is coming out to. Graphite is a gray color. So there'll be a bunch of colors out there. Some might be colors that are repeated in your pattern elsewhere, but some of them might be just unusual things like sage. I don't think there's any sage anywhere else. This is all duck egg down here, but some of this other stuff is coming out to be sage and some other, odd colors. And those colors, we can substitute those out, substitute all those ones to be black, and we'll get a much more filled in line. We can't substitute anything that is out there that is in the rest of the picture because that would mess up the rest of the picture. But anything unusual that goes along this edge now, we can substitute that for black and end up with a pretty good line on the outside. Now, when I was doing the airplane with black and white, I said to change this value also, but let's not do that because we have a colored diagram this time. It'll work out better this way. So let's go back to our palette now. I'm ready for kind of our last step. So, as I said before, set your palette, go down here, set your grid size, set your digitization type if you think you need to change that to something. And then the final step that you're doing is you're going to go in here and look at these colors. And again, I'm just going to look at the major colors that are in here. So this is the duck egg. This is the cloud blue. Now, if you're on a this is harder to do if you're on a tablet or something like that. But if you do click on this, it will flash the color that is. That's one thing you can do if you're on a tablet. Also, if you're on a tablet, it might be better to not do the substitution in here. And I'll show you a second way to do this. We can do the substitution after we get out into the editor. So, but if we're using substitution in here, what I'm doing is just kind of figuring out what the major colors are here. First of all, we got 21 colors and with a limit of 40. So the first thing I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to try reducing this just to see, if I don't lose any of my major areas, I should be okay. So I'm going to go 15 and that looks pretty much okay. And then let's try 10. Okay, now at 10, I lost my shading here. So let's go back up and make sure we get our shading in. So we've got 11, 12. Okay, so at 12, we're doing pretty good. We got all the major colors, the cloud blue, the duck egg. This is coming out wisteria now. And then we've got a bunch of other little colors that are around and hanging out around here. Okay, the purple is, there's no large area of purple. It's got to be like somewhere along this dark edge that we're getting some purple. And the same for the dark brown and the khaki. Now, another strategy I showed you before, you could cut off some of these small colors that are at the end, but I'm going to actually substitute them because I'm going to assume that they're around this line. They're part of that line. Okay, so the major part of the line seems to be Emperor, which is a dark blue, I think, in this thing. I'm seeing, or sorry, Empire, but I think there's Emperor in here too. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start substituting these all for black. Where is black? Is that black? No. There, it's at the very end. Okay, so black. And the Empire we saw was along that edge too, and it's not any one of our major color groups. So let's go ahead and substitute black for that. And I think the denim is also a strange color. Let's substitute it black. If it makes a major change in your picture, you can always remove the sub right here and go like, oh, that's not one I can do. Graphite also is part of that edge. And sage was part of that edge. So let's make it black. And then we've got cloud blue, duck egg, and white. Those are some of the main colors. These substituted things along the edge. Wisteria is this little lavender area in here. And now let's do the khaki. That's also a weird color. Let's do this one as black. And let's do the dark brown as black. Okay, so now, you can tell as you're substituting, is it making your picture better or not? You can look at it and kind of see. Okay, so I can do those substitutions in here. And I'll show you in a minute how you would do that. Probably if you're on your tablet, it's a lot easier to do with the substitution in the drawing area. But you can do a lot of that stuff in here and come out and say create project. And so now you've got your project here. Now, the other, once you're from this point, the cleanup is a matter of, actually doing some drawing. You can use there's some blue cells here that are between, you can think of them as between the white and the black. And so you could use that edge tool that I've shown you in so many videos to eliminate a whole bunch of those little blue dots all the way around the whole elephant. That'll do a whole lot of the work for you. And then there might be some little places where you want to take the line tool and redraw small sections. You can just draw a small section at a time of black line to kind of fill in the rest of the line. But now let's go back and say, okay, let's do this a different way. Let's go back into create image. So this will put us back where we were. And now instead of doing all these substitutions, in here, let's say just reset. Okay, so we've got a line more or less around the outside, and we say create project. Okay. Now we're out here, and we have a lot of this blurry stuff, because we did the smoothing so we could get more of the line defined. But now we can go into this substitution tool instead. And this works better on a tablet because you can make the picture larger and you can see more of what you're doing here. So you can click on these particular colors that are here, substitute them with the black, and see your picture change before your eyes. Emperor, black. What is this down here? That's a purple. Let's make that black. Then there's some sage. We'll make that black. And so we're doing basically the same thing here that we were doing inside of the digitizer. And if you have a desktop machine and you can do that in there, then it's nice. It cleans it all up and you can, come out and have it. This Empire looks like it's some blue green around here. So let's do that black too. But I'm just going to go through all the same colors that we substituted before. And so very often when you have a black line, you can do a lot of substitutions like that. Now the wisteria is this part up here. So I guess we don't really want to substitute for that. If we want to leave that the same. The khaki, let's make it black. the dark brown. Let's make it black. The purple is already substituted, and there we go. And we have then the same thing. Now, this is kind of going to create the same output, or very close to the same output that the digitizer would if you did the substitutions inside the digitizer. And then from here, it's just a matter of, doing the cleanup pieces. I'm going to show that in this video because I've shown it so much in the previous ones. But basically the same tools that we were using down here, the fill edge, fill spatter. So you can see some spatter in here that'll get rid of, and some edge stuff like the blue between the black and the white. So it's just a matter of cleaning up those things in the same way that I've shown before. But I just wanted to show that when you can have, when you have a line, a dark line around your subject, and you want that line to show up, you turn the smoothing on in the digitizer, and then often you can substitute the colors that are in there, for the dark line, and end up with most of your line still intact. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.